I'm having a little fun with you, or to really get southern about it, I'm a funning you. Tonight, this video, I say tonight, it is actually 12:25 Friday morning here in Albuquerque, the 8th of August, so 8/8. Where was I going? I don't remember. So tonight, I initially, as I was preparing to record, had thought of doing a sipping and talking episode, but then I realized the bottle that's on deck I have not reviewed on the channel. I'm fairly certain, because my memory has more holes than Swiss cheese. You know, I have a mind like a steel sieve. Everything falls through except the stuff I don't need. But I believe that I have reviewed this whiskey on Distiller, but I know I have not done it on this channel. So what we're going to do tonight is a review of Wild Turkey Rare Breed, which is ostensibly a barrel-proof bourbon. It says a unique uncut blend of bourbon whiskey crafted in small batches. Now, real barrel proof is the proof of the barrel. Each barrel has its own proof. So what I just read to you tells me that it's not really barrel proof. And for some years now, and I don't know if y'all are going to be able to read this, but you can maybe see right here, the proof is 116.8, and for years every bottle of Rare Breed has been 116.8. So what that tells me, all the proof and that little strip, it tells me that it's not, strictly speaking, a barrel-proof whiskey. Either they're taking barrels and batching them together and proofing them down to 116.8, because you cannot proof up. Not if you're going to have straight whiskey. The only additive you can put into straight whiskey is pure water to bring the proof down. The only way to bring it up would be to add alcohol, and you can't do that and it be straight whiskey. So either they're doing that, or they're picking individual barrels and proofing them down before they dump them. I think it's kind of a, it's not dishonest exactly, but it is not as fully and completely straightforward as I would like it to be. And given that Jimmy Russell has worked at Wild Turkey for 70 years or more, unless he's retired and I don't know it, and given that his son Eddie is a master distiller, I believe, well, this has Jimmy's signature on it, but I believe Eddie has took over, and I think Eddie's son, whose name slips me, I think he's working in that office too. Given all this, I would expect a little more straightforward statement on what this whiskey is. And it disappoints me that Wild Turkey is doing things the way they are. And I keep having, after I set the bottle over there, to shift my chair over. One of these days I'll get it straight. But I don't want to take up my whole time just to talking. I want to review the whiskey. So, it's definitely bourbon. There's caramel, vanilla. I'm having to be careful of my nostril here. I've mentioned on various videos that about all it can reliably detect is alcohol, and it'll spike right in that nostril if I ain't careful. Caramel, vanilla, might be some honey in there. I think maybe some cinnamon, brown sugar, and these are all classic bourbon notes. There's not a thing wrong with them. I think maybe I might be getting something buttery on the nose. Just a faint hint of something smoky. And I did a video in my Whiskey Basics series, and if you're new to whiskey, I encourage you to go watch it and try to disregard the really amateur nature of it and focus on the content. I did a video on the various notes that people get when they're nosing whiskey, when they're tasting whiskey. When I first started, I wasn't getting all that, and I really seriously thought that they were making these things up so that they could sound good. It's kind of like the stereotypical wine guy. An acceptable little wine, not at all pretentious. That reminds me of Randy Sullivan on Bourbon Real Talk. He does his own commercials as well as occasionally having a sponsor. But he does his own commercials for his own merchandise. And I don't remember what he's advertising. But he's got one commercial where he has this spoof show called Pretentious Whiskey Reviews. And he noses the whiskey. I'm getting a hint of Bolivian virgin tears. It's funny. He has another one. In fact, there have been 2 or 3 that I know of that involve an extra schmedium t-shirt. So what I'm telling you I'm getting, I really am getting. And that is the thickest mouthfeel, I've ever had in any whiskey. I thought my palate had already cleared sufficiently. I had a couple of bagels and cream cheese about an hour ago. And eating just about anything gorks my palate. But I think I'll be able to, with the second sip, get you some decent notes. There's a ton of brown sugar there and some cinnamon. And again, for me at least, these are standard bourbon notes. But at 116.8 proof, I definitely feel it on my tongue. It's definitely warm. And I swallowed faster than I normally do, so I've got a Kentucky hug all the way down to about here. People with a more professional setup, you can see them essentially waist up. I don't have that setup. You can see me from wherever up. At least you can see me, you can see the whiskey. That's something that I've only recently figured out how to do. On that sip, I got the brown sugar, I got the cinnamon, and then came in a flood of honey with butter following after, and then it melded into honey butter. And then as I was enjoying that, there came something fruity underneath it all. It wasn't just barely there. I definitely could taste it, but it was under the other stuff, and so I couldn't tell you what kind of a fruit it was. But it, as I think about it, it kind of could remind me of some kind of a fruit pie or a fruit cobbler, not apple, which is what you think of with the cinnamon and brown sugar, but something that had all that in there. I'm not getting anything extra on the nose. As I move that sip around in my mouth, side to side, forward and back, using my tongue to push it up to the roof of my mouth. The so-called Kentucky chew don't work for me. I use everything but my teeth. But I got a hint of something tannic, and then it became definitely oak. And so on the palate, I'm getting a ton of brown sugar, definite cinnamon, honey and butter, which become honey butter, and now the oak. And that's more than I frequently get on even bourbon that I like. And there's nothing wrong with not getting a lot of specific discrete notes. Aaron on not SLB drinks, Stuff and Whiskey. That's Josh and Aaron, husband and wife. Aaron, I was watching a video tonight, and she said that sometimes for her, all that she gets is whether she does or doesn't like a whiskey. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're tasting Rare Breed or Clyde Mays or Knob Creek or Wild Turkey 101, Evan Williams Bottled in Bond, whatever it may be, if all you get is 2 notes, that's fine. If all you can say is that you like it or don't like it, that's fine. You don't have to be Fred Minnick to enjoy whiskey. You don't have to be Fred Minnick to review whiskey. Look at me. What am I doing? I'm reviewing whiskey. I'm not Fred Minnick. For one thing, he's an Okie. I'm a Texan. If you know anything about relations between them two states, you know that I would like him a ton better if he wasn't an Okie. Although he doesn't sound Southern at all. Somewhere along the way he lost his Southern speech. One of the reasons I don't try to get rid of how I talk is everything's getting homogenized. Everybody's English sounds the same. They're all talking like this, and they're all talking like that, and they, ant instead of and. They have these, they live in humps. What's a hump? Everybody has this Yankee enunciation these days. What I used to only hear it from Hawkeye Pierce on MASH, Alan Alda. Now everybody talks like that. I ain't going to do it. Back to the whiskey. Finishes oak, brown sugar and cinnamon, alcohol, heat. and then the oak comes back and it just hangs there and it lingers. The heat lingers. I'm still feeling the tingle on my tongue from the alcohol. There's still a faint taste of oak on the back of my tongue. And every sip from this glass is better than the one before. So, this is high-class bourbon. This bottle, I got this at Total Wine, and it cost me $58.99, 59 bucks. Near enough to 60s, don't make no never mind. And until this year, I have not been able to consistently buy stuff over 40. Now, there are a lot of people out there, $40 is nothing, $60 is nothing, $100, it doesn't bother them. And if they can afford to do that without disrupting other obligations, whiskey is not an obligation. It's a luxury. It's not a necessity. And if you find that alcohol is or is becoming a necessity, the best thing you can do is quit it before it grabs you and won't let go. It's a luxury. But there are people who can afford that. Not a thing against them. More power to them. I'm glad they can. But for me, a $59 bottle is still unusual. But I can afford it. I don't know when I'll buy another bottle of Rare Breed. As you can see, it's not ready to finish yet. But at some point, after this is gone, I will buy more Rare Breed. It is just that simple. It's good bourbon. I don't remember how I rated it on Distiller, but just off the cuff here, I'm trying to remember. I have a HIC rating scale. It has 8 levels with 1 at the bottom, 8 at the top. 8 is mighty fine. 7 is right fine. 6 is fine. And this is at least number 6, which is fine. And you can do the math. I don't have it in front of me. You can do the math if you want to see how many stars that would be out of 5. How much out of 100, how much out of 10. But this is fine bourbon, and I recommend it. We set that aside. We have this, since I'm drinking bourbon and talking about being Southern. Oh, what's a good Southern toast? Well, I don't know. So here's how.